With the medical office right in the back?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's this.
Here's what fronts on the city too.
Okay.
Access was first.
Call to order the May 19th, 2025 meeting of the Mayor and Aldermen. If you'd rise, we'll have our prayer by the chaplain.
Let us pray. Heavenly Father, creator of all that is, we come before you today with open hearts and minds to receive your guidance as we seek to do your will as the City Council and citizens of Monteagle. Watch over and protect our first responders just as they watch over and protect us every day. We ask these things in the name of your Son, Jesus, the risen Christ. Amen.
Amen.
Please join me in the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, roll call, please.
Dean,
Present.
Brett,
Here.
Dan,
Present.
Dave,
Here.
Here. All right, you've received the minutes in your packets. I'll accept a motion to approve the minutes as submitted.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes from the last meeting.
and 3 cents.
We have 3 sets. Is this for all of them?
Oh, excuse me, my fault. 3 sets. Let's do one at a time. First one was the beer board meeting of April 28th. Is there a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion to approve the beer board meeting 28th.
Second.
Thank you. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Next one is for the public hearing that we had also on April 28th for ordinance 03-25, those minutes. I'll accept a motion to approve.
So move.
Thank you. Is there a second? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
And the last one is the Mayor and Alderman meeting of April 28th. Is there a motion to accept those minutes as submitted?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any additions or corrections? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Okay. Citizens' comments. Any comments wish to be heard at this time? Okay. Mayor's comments, also brief.
Mayor,
I'm sorry?
I have citizens' comments.
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't see you.
It's all right. I have to beg your indulgence, though. Mayor, this is going to take me about 7 minutes. Will you indulge me for that?
Try to keep it as brief as possible. We want to
will.
follow the 3-minute rule.
I will.
I wait a lot my time, if that's okay.
It's the same subject? Go ahead.
I'm here this afternoon to ask that you do all in your power to protect our source water, our drinking water, Laurel Lake, and to hold all developers, and the developers of the truck stop in particular, to a rigorous standard of protection. With or without vested property rights, developers can be held accountable. Please bear with me. My understanding is that Chancellor Willis ruled that the council had made procedural mistakes regarding the revocation of RBT's vested property rights. Whether or not the council, under direction of City Attorney Sam Elliott, failed to carry out its intent procedurally is not in dispute. It did. She, however, gives no weight to the intent of the council. She also does not mention that the Tennessee state law supports the loss of those vested property rights due to inaction on the part of the developer. Willis never addressed that law, but rather skirted it entirely in her ruling. So where can you go from here to make sure Laurel Lake is protected? In my opinion, our codes enforcer could have and could still, without a vote or support from our city council, inform the developers of the loss of those rights based on Tennessee law. In a generous attempt to work with RBT to restore those rights, while also seeking to protect Laurel Lake, the council asked the developer to resubmit a site plan, including the changes tacitly agreed upon for the original building permit to include encompassing Mr. Kilgore's current business at the corner of Trussell and Forsyth into the truck stop plan. Instead of showing basic respect and a willingness to honor that agreement or participate in basic protections of our water, RBT took the town of Monteagle to court. It is my understanding that Mr. Kilgore has refused repeatedly to bring his current sites into compliance with the city's or even Marion County's ordinances, showing a blatant disrespect for local laws and regulations. It seems that the work done on the proposed Petro site to date does not align with the original site plan as permitted. That very fact, for any developer, would necessitate a submission of a new site plan showing those changes. Even small details like changing the parking area from concrete to asphalt, for instance, would necessitate a refreshed site plan denoting that change. Is that not true? These kinds of conversations and cooperation between developers and the city are crucial to any kind of development. The very fact that RBT is willing to put our drinking water at risk is unconscionable and may be determined to be criminally negligent should they refuse to make changes to protect Laurel Lake. If the Monteagle Council knowingly does not ensure that developers protect our drinking water, that may also give rise to a very serious environmental citizen suit against the town and may involve criminal liability as well. These actions are within the realm of possibility. Do we have to go down any of those entangled legal roads for remedy when we are talking about our most basic need, clean drinking water? It has been shown and explained time and again with videos, with Jim Waller's PowerPoint presentation, photographs, physical tracking, and dye tracing, that the stormwater from this site goes directly to Laurel Lake. That incontrovertible evidence predicts that our water will be polluted if this developer does not follow the more protective steps laid out in our current stormwater ordinance. The loss of vested property rights allows the town to hold this developer to a higher standard of protection for our water supply. The fact that RBT would choose to take Monteagle to court rather than to voluntarily do all in its power to protect our drinking water speaks volumes and predicts a rocky road ahead. It is a known fact that truck stops are high on the list of major polluters. They are known for bringing in crime, including drugs and prostitution. They cause traffic issues, parking violations, and accidents. They also cause light, noise, air, and of grave importance for us, water pollution, if protective standards are not enforced. The parking area where highly toxic petrochemicals and hydrocarbons collect, along with empty jugs of urine and worse, possible chemical leaks from tanker trucks, as we've seen before, will be washed off that acres-large canvas into our stormwater system and carried to Laurel Lake. You don't have to have a degree in biochemistry to understand what is at stake. In trying to better understand Tennessee law and the restrictions of vested property rights, I found significant support for upholding our ordinances and protections in Tennessee law despite a developer having those rights. It reads that those rights shall not preclude local government enforcement of any development standard when the local government determines that a compelling countervailing interest exists relating specifically to the development plan or property which is the subject of the building permit that seriously threatens the public health, safety, or welfare of the community, and the threat cannot be mitigated within a reasonable period of time. Or the existence of a natural or man-made hazard on or in the immediate vicinity of the subject property not identified in the development plan or building permit, and which hazard, if uncorrected, would pose a serious threat to the public health, safety, or welfare, and the threat cannot be mitigated within a reasonable period of time. I beg the council to consider their oaths and duties rather than to give way to bullying and to a highly questionable, even prejudicial ruling by Chancellor Willis. The fact that Chancellor Willis sought to give the developers relief rather than reading the council's clear intent to protect the citizens of Monteagle begs greater scrutiny. To call the council's actions arbitrary and capricious insults the intention of the council to protect us. Why should you allow or continue to allow any developer to skirt or ignore our ordinances, thereby heaping great harm on our community? You should not. Regardless of your personal views on a truck stop in this location, despite homes on two sides, or on your personal relationship with this developer, your role should be first to do no harm. No harm to our water, to our environment, and first and foremost, to Monteagle residents and visitors. The last administration sadly failed us, despite public outcry and irrefutable research. You must do all in your power to make sure that our newly adopted stormwater ordinance is upheld. It is the only way to more vigorously protect our precious drinking water. No grandfathering should preclude necessary protective action. It is past time to stand up for your citizens. And to the mayor and council, you cannot rely on TDEC or the EPA to save us or our water from contaminants from this site or any other. That is your responsibility. Once our water is contaminated, no one will be able to imagine Monteagle going forward. I submit these words for the record. Thank you.
Okay, any other citizen wish to be heard?
Yeah,
Thank you. Yeah.
I'll make mine short. I'd like to give this to Ms. Taylor if she would. RBT's main argument in this lawsuit against the city was they couldn't start construction because there was pending litigation. If that's their argument, there's a letter right there that there is still pending litigation. All right, so I would submit to the council that Travis didn't need your permission to take away the vested property rights, doesn't need your vote. Let him do his job. All right, vested property rights have expired. He can do his job. I would ask that you allow him to participate. Those laws, those sunshine laws, are very clear and definite about executive privilege, and I think if you're going to make decisions that actually entails the requirements or the job that he has to do, that he should be privy to be in attendance to those meetings. That man can't make decisions if he doesn't have not only what he's supposed to enforce in front of him, but he has the thoughts of what this body is deciding and how you're making decisions to move forward. His name's attached to it. That lawsuit is still pending. It's been pending for about 3 years now, but they don't want to talk about that. The argument also that TDEC, Lucy touched on this, they're going to take care of the water. No, they're not. TDEC's requirement is only to monitor the runoff from that property during the construction phase. It has absolutely nothing to do with it once it is completed. All right. Now, he's been cited probably 8 or 10 times in pre-construction by TDEC already, enough that they've even quit coming up here. Also, TDEC informed us sitting in a meeting right here that with the council that they would start providing Travis with weekly updates that he's supposed to be providing, I guess maybe 2 or 3 years ago, that he never did. And TDEC quit giving those letters to Travis. So TDEC has proved over and over and over again, they're not going to do their job. You know, why? I have no idea. I can only speculate who they know or what they know. But if the argument wants to be that pending litigation kept me from breaking ground, then I would submit that you not allow him to get issued a building permit, because there is still pending litigation. And when that's over, then we'll talk. That's all I got. Thanks.
Thank you. Any other citizens wish to be heard?
Just a question.
Yes,
Okay.
question.
Did each one of you board members take an oath to protect the citizens of Monteagle?
I forgot the exact wording, but we were all sworn in by a city judge.
So that means that you swore an oath to take care of the citizens of Monteagle. Is that correct? Yes or no?
Yeah.
Yes? Yes,
I
yes.
don't remember the oath, but I'm sure it was
Yeah,
something
and
similar to that.
yes.
Something similar, if
So
not
the
that
answer to
verbatim.
that question is yes.
Any other citizen wish to be heard?
Hi, everybody. I'm Mary Beth Best, 521 Lots Hunter Hudson. How's her place? And first, I just want to congratulate you on the work that you did to get this far. I am obviously speaking about the truck stop. It seems to be the hot topic of the day. I know that wasn't easy, where we came from and where we went, and not everybody sees it the same way. But that was a really difficult task to get where you came. And that last meeting where Sam Elliott was sitting here walking you through the process step by step, and you had the 3 options to go through, and you finally voted on that 3rd option. I know that was a difficult thing to do all the way around, and it took a long time to get there. And I want to congratulate you on a body of representatives of the community on getting that far. It seemed like a really good decision, and it seemed like a full representation of the community, because you all didn't agree on it, and that was okay, because it felt like a fair representation of different parts of the community, and it came out the way it came out. Now, I have to speak a little bit on the history. I'm part of a community group that, based on technicalities, decisions did not go the way that I wanted them to go, multiple times in court. I'm part of a group of citizens that fought the zoning issue. I felt like the zoning was intentionally done at the very, very origins of the planning of the city, the way that it was done to protect the neighbors that were already in existence. And we fought really hard on that issue. The administration that was in place, the council that was in place, they kind of messed up several times, and they voted and did some things that were technically ruled in court to be erroneous, and they had to go back and redo those things. That was not to a positive result for my satisfaction, but it was the law, and they followed it. And obviously, the last administration had a different view on where Monteagle should go and grow, and we lost that zoning fight. Now we are here today, and it appears from what I have read from the transcripts and from the ruling of the judge that once again there's some kind of technicality. I think that was even maybe some of the wording that the judge ruled. It was not the work that you did. It was not the work that Travis did. There was nothing, again, to reiterate what Lucy said, that was done wrong or that you didn't follow policy, procedure, and law. It seemed to be the way that it was done that needs to be relooked at. The reason why I bring that up is because the substance of what you did was so critical to the growth of this town. It was so important and so fully representative of this community and how this community voted, how this community, the signatures that have been turned into you. And Greg even mentioned, I was a little offended by this, Greg, that evidence and supporting evidence should have been presented before we got here. Believe me, it was. I told Billy I could have been a little bit dramatic and brought the boxes and boxes and boxes that are in my closet at home of the things that have been presented to this to the city council. You should have all those things. I know there is a problem of record keeping here in this place, but it should all be here. Notebooks and notebooks and files and files and paper and research and research. It's been done and it's been turned in here. So the work has been done. You did your work. You all have represented what you believe to be how you're represented your people. You did the vote. I encourage you to look at just the technicality that the judge pointed out. Do the right thing. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other citizen wish to be heard at this time? Okay. Go ahead.
I give you all the comment from myself as the inspector that I'm looking into this. I appreciate all your input on this. I'm still going to follow this. I'm still not going to give up on this. And I'll see that this is held to the standards of the code and the law as best as I can. just in the beginning stages of all of it, and we've made it this far and worked with it, so trust me, I'm gathering paperwork, gathering the environmental impacts, everything that I can gather along with the city code and the statute and everything that I'm supposed to follow, and that's where I'm going with it. It's all on my shoulders, so I'll not be the quiet mouse in the room. I will make a decision.
My comments, will be a Memorial Day observance, May 26th, which is next Monday. That's why we're not having the meeting next Monday night. 11:30 a.m. at the fire department flagpole. We have a guest speaker, retired veteran who can discuss the importance of Memorial Day. So we'll have that. It shouldn't go too much more than a half hour of that. The flag is at half staff and then raised to full staff at noon. So we hope to get started promptly at 11:30. The next mayor and alderman meeting will be June 30th, which is the last Monday of the month. And I'll be asking the aldermen to select a date next week, not Monday, of course, to have a workshop and start work on some of these projects. So that's all I have for comments. Calendar of events you have. Memorial Day seems to be the only one, and then we'll see what June holds in store. Department reports. Let's start with fire department first, due to scheduling.
Good evening, everyone. We've had 19 calls for the month of May. Mr. Slay, I was going to break this down for you, but this report was done at 3:48, so I'm sorry, and I'll get you a report on that. We've been working on the fire hydrants, cleaning, painting, trimming around the fire hydrants for the start of the spring. I'm also reaching out to Rogers Hydrant Service. We're in that 3-year window for the flow testings of the hydrants, trying to get some numbers and stuff and calculations for that like we've done 3 years ago. We'll see where that goes. We're still in the process of receiving all the items from our CBDG grant. State guidelines, once all the items are received, they'll come down and do an inventory on it, and then they'll release it for service. So items are still coming in. That's about all I have for fire. It's kind of been a codes and inspector month.
Alderman, any questions of the fire chief?
Yes, sir.
Your EMS assistant?
Yes, that's why I'm up first. We just followed the midterm last week on it. We're almost done. We're over the midway point every night now. We're taking exams, so it's going well. Everybody's still passing, high success rate expected out of the class, and looking at mid-June for the national registry and the board exam for the state.
And how many people is that?
So there's 4 of us in the class, and that would put the total for EMTs and EMRs from Monteagle to 9 once he's graduated.
That's great.
So you have all the equipment or a pledge for all the equipment,
Yes.
everything that you will need?
Everything's done. The only
Start
other thing
out.
that I'm gonna pursue for reimbursement from fire budget is once these folks get their license, I'm requiring them to pay up front. If they pass it and bring us a license, we'll reimburse them for the cost of the exam. It's around $170, I think. So that's where we're at.
Thank you.
Sir, anybody else fire
Any
questions?
other questions on fire? Okay, next report.
Codes. There's 2 residences in the process. It's in the beginning for condemnation due to dilapidated conditions. It's 2 residential establishments within the city. We've actually looked at one of them prior to this, and it's kind of up again for just no progress on it. Currently, we're expecting an appeal on an RV case that was in town. We're kind of waiting and kicking the ball on that to see where that goes. And working on sign ordinance to update, to be able to better enforce our sign ordinance. I know there's some questions and stuff on the signs through town. Some of you aldermen are aware of that. I'm assuming all of you are, and we're working to re-up the ordinance on that and be able to better enforce.
Travis, can we as a council have a workshop and look at the proposed changes before they go for legal counsel review?
I'm good with it as long as the mayor's okay with it. I think it works great that way.
Yeah, we have fewer changes that way, I
Yes,
think.
Absolutely.
Yes.
And can you give us a little more detail on the appeal from the RV case? What is that about again? I'm sorry.
This is in reference to an RV that was parked at a church establishment within the city, and they were served, and I think they're going to try to file an appeal for a special use, just being that the RV was at a church. I'm kind of waiting on it. They contacted me, and I think they contacted the mayor on it. That's where we're at with it. I'm waiting for something in writing. I don't think we've officially received anything in writing yet, but it's been talked about.
Okay. Any other?
Building inspections, 4 inspections has been done, 3 certs of occupancies issued, 3 permits issued. That's not covering the tons of calls you get a day regarding zonings and can they build here and can they do this and that. A lot of this stuff I refer to Jonathan Rush because that's just chain of command, but the building department's been pretty busy.
Okay, any questions of the fire chief?
Questions on anything?
Thank you.
'Cause I'm gonna go. If y'all have no questions, I'm gonna head on back to class. I have class starting at 6.
Thank you.
Hey, Travis, one quick question on the food truck thing. Is that it says at the end of the calendar year, so every January, basically, all the food trucks would need to come back in, according to the proposed ordinance, they'd have to come back in. So it's a January funding
So
thing?
an annual revolving, I would say, yes.
Okay, so so it's not from the time of their previous permit. If they get a permit in November, they're gonna have to get another one.
It'd be better to manage and easier to manage doing monthly on a kind of like a fishing license. That'd be February, it's time to re-up your fishing
I
license.
agree with you 100%.
It's just easier to
We'll have a
manage.
workshop on that to finalize the food truck ordinance.
That's just all I
Thank
had.
you.
Thank you. Thank you all.
I just wanted to ask something about the food truck parking and all that. I haven't heard
Well,
anything
get
about
with me because we're going to have a workshop with Travis about the food trucks. So we're not approving anything tonight.
Oh, I thought.
Police next?
Good afternoon, citizens, council. First of all, I'd like to say to the citizens and the council, very compassionate meeting we've had so far. I want to say thank you to everyone for being extremely civil and knowing that both sides are doing what they can to bring a good resolution. So I just want to say thank you as far as the, chief of police side goes. Okay. I'm going to go down here real quickly. We had 1 driving on revoked suspended. We had 3 violation orders that we made arrests. We've had 2 theft. One was identity theft. The other one was a firearm that was stolen out of a vehicle, which I'm going to touch on here in a moment. We had a total of 279 calls of service, which is down from 343 of last month. Most likely that's people getting ready to go on vacation, schools ending and things of that nature. So that's going to roller coaster up and down throughout the summer months. We've had 8 minor vehicle crashes, which is down from 11. So obviously we want to see that number continuously going down. Perfect world 0, but as long as we can keep them to minor accidents and not accidents with injuries, I think that's going to be acceptable. We conducted 42 traffic stops. We issued 14 citations and 28 warnings. So really the most important number there is the lack of citations, which is good because, like I said, we're here to allow people a little bit of leniency, but we want to educate them. Slow down, don't get the tickets. We'll give warnings when we can. However, citations are necessary, as you can see. So, but they're way down from 2 years ago. So that I'm very happy with those numbers. As far as that report, that's done. I'm gonna go to the police news, public announcements. Scam alert. We're constantly, seems like I'm talking about new scams going on. And this one, I had 2 last week and 1 actually about 11 a.m. And basically, elders are receiving texts saying that you're gonna be arrested if you don't pay your warrant from your local sheriff's departments. That is a 100% scam. You're never gonna receive any text from any sheriff's department or any other entity that says if you pay this, you won't get arrested. If you're gonna get arrested, they're gonna knock on your door and arrest you. So please just be mindful of that, okay? The other thing is, it is bike season. People are out, it's getting warm. We did have an incident where a juvenile was hit. Luckily, the juvenile did not get injured. It was on Laurel Lake. Luckily, the juvenile was okay on electric bicycle. Had he been on a regular bicycle, probably would have been worse. The electric bicycle's heavier, which, believe it or not, kind of worked out in his favor. However, whether you're driving a car, whether you are riding a bike or whatever, just be mindful not to put headphones on and listen to music. So these things could have been avoided. So distracted driving, you know, it is illegal. So, but in this case here, the outcome was what we wanted. No one was seriously injured. The driver, she shook up, probably said she'll never drive again, but you know, I told her to get behind the wheel again. So just be mindful of drivers, be mindful of pedestrians, and pedestrians be mindful of drivers. The vehicles will stop on a dime. The other thing is firearms. Please take your firearms out of your vehicles. We have, and this is you know, an actual stats, you know, 92% of the firearms that are in bad guys' hands are stolen either out of vehicles or out of homes. So so let's just be mindful that we lock our vehicles up, take your guns inside. Our policy is, you know, when our officers are off, they take their guns inside. It's a patrol car. I mean, what better place to break in a vehicle and get a bunch of guns, right? Patrol car. So my guys take their firearms inside. So I just ask the public to do the same thing. And lastly, 31st of this month, we're going to have First Responders Day at the park. This is something the fire department, police department, along with City Hall and many others. We wanted to put this program together, and hopefully we can continue this for the kids of Monteagle and surrounding areas, to get them outside, to get them playing, to get them to know who the first responders are. We all know that some children are scared of police officers because sometimes you might have to arrest their uncle, dad, mom, whatever, right? So we want to change that that way of thinking. So we are donating 10 male bikes and 10 female bikes. We have gotten lots of donations from several businesses, of which I will announce those on that Saturday. And I want to say thank you to the businesses that have donated to this cause. That's going to start at 11 a.m. and should wrap up about 2 p.m. So come on out. There's going to be hot dogs, popcorn for, I think, the first hour. Come in, bring your children, grandchildren. We're going to give away the bikes. We're also going to give away all the safety equipment along with it. So that's everything I have.
Great.
Any questions for the police chief?
I got a couple.
I'm sorry?
I said I have a couple.
Go ahead.
The homeless camp, I think we were notifying the property owner. What's the status of our homeless camp?
I've not received any letters back from the homeowner. I have mailed a letter to the homeowner to the address. That encampment is completely taken down. We go back there weekly. Now, as I've spoke with Greg and with Travis, probably need to take, it's private property, however, probably wouldn't hurt to get some volunteers together and go back there and clean it up. Because we all know, once you get it cleaned up, it's less likely for other people to want to try to use some of the collected items back there. So no one's currently staying on that property. However, we do have 2 individuals that are staying somewhere in Monteagle. I see them quite often. Really wish there was a place that I had for them to go. I did find out a place in Chattanooga from one of the citizens that came. I had an opportunity for them to go to a location, but they didn't want to split up because the male had to go to one location, the female had to go to another one. So that kind of didn't pan out there.
The other thing is we've talked monthly about the out at Pilot Truck Stop, the safety issue of the trucks at certain times of the day, traffic.
Yes, sir.
The trucks parking on the shoulder of the road, which is, my understanding, a violation of TCA for parking on the shoulder of the road.
It is, and we have issued several citations for that. That's where some of these citations come from. So 9 times out of 10, it's we knock on the door, hey, you need to move. If they give us any issues, we scratch them off a citation. But that's a constant thing there. We're having to move cars. And depending on who's on shift, you might only have 1 officer. So I've instructed my guys, and I actually popped up on Saturday just to make sure that they were doing what they're supposed to be doing. And I went down through there several times, and I personally moved some vehicles. So we're actively still working on that.
Is
So,
there any possible solutions to preventing?
you know, I've actually talked to a lieutenant at THP, you know, got some feedback, and, you know, Dennis, DOT, really there's not, unless I actually post someone there 24/7, we're always going to be having there. So what I have done is I implemented it's a performance thing that my guys are doing daily, a daily activity log. And so that I'm actually looking at it to see if they are going out there, because if I've got an officer that says, you know, when I look at it, oh, I've not moved anyone from that pilot area, I know that they're not doing their job. So that's,
Do we have GPS tracking on our police officers' cars?
we do not.
Some do, don't they? Some-
None of them do.
I mean, some police departments. have
Oh,
that.
lots of, yes, lots of
And
police
then you can
departments.
kind of
Correct.
see the times and the,
And I can see where they're at and see how long someone's been sitting somewhere.
well, it
Yes.
actually protects the officer too if there's a,
It 100% does. Several years ago, there was an incident in Nashville where an off-duty officer was, unfortunately, his life was taken up around Chapel Hill area, and GPS actually was very instrumental in finding him at that time. So, but yes, something to look forward to if we can get it
The
passed.
chief and I have discussed some of these issues. I've contacted TDOT about traffic studies and looking at that whole intersection, including the bridge crossing, and I'm waiting for them to come up. They're willing to come up and take a look and meet with us, so
thank you.
when that happens.
Thank you, Chief.
Yes, sir.
we'll be in touch. Thank you, chief.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Okay, utility department? Where's John?
I don't have
John,
anything unless council does.
any councilmen have any questions?
The report that goes to TDEC, like from the sewer plants that you gave me last month, typically when is that submitted? That's due, like, it runs from the 1st to the end of the month, and then it has to be in by the 15th? Or-
Yeah.
Okay, so we can start getting those on a regular basis from the, like you send in from sewer plant and water plant?
Well, water plant, yeah, they send theirs in, yeah.
But I mean, well, does a copy come to City Hall too, or?
I don't know if they've asked for it or not.
I put
Okay.
a copy in your packet.
What packet I hadn't got? I know. I left it at home. Thank you, John.
John, I got a quick question, and this kind of ties in with some stuff that, with I&I Phase 2 and some other things, but I noticed on here that the days that we have a heavy rainfall, that the inflow is obviously greater, but you would expect like the day after to probably have a big inflow too, as we get more seepage. So it appears that this, when it rains, is coming directly in. So it's not so much a slow seepage thing as it is just a.
Right, it takes a little while to get there, but now I've noticed on the south side, a pump station, which is by my house, since they fixed this manhole over here behind the school, we just been running on one pump, because we got one pump out. And it's been keeping up good, so I think they've got had an extreme leak over there and they've cut it out. So I think that's helping a lot. It'll show more next month probably.
All right, I guess I'll just bring this up for all of us as we're going through the I&I Phase 2 contract, to really kind of pay attention to the fact that it doesn't, at least these numbers don't show that there's a 2 or 3 day drag between a heavy rain and the plant recognizing the full force of that rain. So that means it's pretty instant, which means in some terms you'd think it would mean that it might be a little bit easier to find and fixed, but I know all that crap's expensive. Just a note to self.
They found, they didn't fix it in phase 1.
Mm-hmm.
But there's places that's putting in a lot of water that goes in phase 2.
Yeah. Just a note for us on Phase 2 that there doesn't seem to be much of a drag, and that should come into play with the engineering.
Are we to deal with the task order thing from LJA tonight, or is that for next month?
No, we have to do that tonight.
Okay, is it, what part of the agenda does it come in?
I'll bring that up after Alderman comments.
Oh, okay.
Anything else for utilities? Okay. Beautification tree board?
Well, I hope everyone has noticed the planting in the triangle out here behind the post office. Dan Pate and his crew and our crew worked hard on that, and it's nice to see green there. And when we get some funding, we're hoping to have some sort of sculpture in the middle of it. But nothing's going to get real high. Dan made sure that what's planted won't get in the way of visibility, since we've got roads all the way around it. So I'm pleased that we have, and the mayor worked real hard on getting that done. So, well, actually, tourism, IVA, and beautification are working on coming up with a new logo for the town. This that you see right here is actually the seal. So the town doesn't have a real logo. And, oh, it sounds like yours. Sorry. So we are actually asking artists to come up with some recommendations. And if you have anyone that you know is good at art, and you know what a good logo looks like. It's something that when you see it, you go, oh, that's Nike, or, you know, something like that. We want something that when people see it, they'll think, Monteagle, let's go to Monteagle. So we're working on that, and maybe next month we've got a number of suggestions, and we'll have more. And hopefully we can show you those next month. Does anybody have problems with us creating a new logo? I mean, you'll get a vote. So, okay. We're just working on a lot of other things that really aren't ready to be talked about.
Any questions from the alderman?
Yeah, just one comment actually on the logo thing. I got the I got your email with it.
Yeah, some of the suggestions.
Some of the suggestions and all. I think we're definitely kind of moving in the right track. There's some of them that really stand out. There's some that are like, okay, maybe, but I think what we were probably like for you to do, and I'm maybe speaking too much for the steering committee and or the council, but I think we'd let the tourism committee do their job and sort through the 8 or 9 or 10 that you're probably going to end up with, and narrow it down to probably 3. Let you all vote on it, and then present a smaller number to not only to the council, but city as well. Let's narrow it down to 3. If we give people 10, it's going to be we're going to have a hard time getting a consensus. So let you guys do your job the way you're designed to do it, and bring forth 2 to 3 ideas that we can all discuss with the council and the city.
Yeah, we were hoping to get the city citizens of Monteagle to vote on it, put it in Facebook and everywhere we can, and see if people can get involved in that. And we did ask Aaron with Big A Marketing to take the eagle in front, that was in front of the old hotel, and see if he could come up with a logo that kind of uses that eagle. So we'll see.
This is an example of the different committees of Imagine Monteagle, those subcommittees working, sending it to the steering committee, setting up processes, and then sooner or later it'll come to the citizens and the mayor and aldermen. So it's an ongoing process, and thank you for all the work that you and tourism and economic and the other committees are doing, which is a great segue to Nate to talk about Imagine Monteagle.
Sure. Well, thank you, Martha and Iva and all the people that are working on this. As I think we've said, there are 3 major citizen committees: tourism, economic development, and beautification. And you just heard a report from a couple of them, a little bit about what they're doing. What we're going to work on as a steering committee next, and the steering committee hasn't heard this yet, so you're hearing it here first. I'm going to be sending this email out probably tomorrow. So we're going to try to gather either at the end of this month or early next month and sort of hear committee reports from all the different committees and try to identify some priorities, both short-term and long-term priorities, that then that'll become a presentation to City Council. And one of the things that we've talked about as a council that I'm really excited about is come September, we're going to be able to have closed out our books from the prior budget year. And so it always takes several months to close out the budget year. But at that time, we're going to be talking about a budget amendment to help us think with more information about what the end of the year happens. When we do, we're going to be voting on the budget here later in this meeting. But the reality of it is, it takes usually till September to close out the budget that ends on June 30th. So that'll give us a chance to really know about where our finances are. And if we have some committee reports that identify some priorities, then we can discuss those as a mayor and council and be able to identify what things we can act on now, what things we need to go fundraise on. So that's an exciting development. So I'm looking forward to that. One of the other things that several of us are involved in, and several folks out of the community are involved in, two other things that were identified in Imagine Monteagle but have less formal committees. One of those is zoning reform. And so the council and the Planning Commission and some other interested folks who have asked, and I'm happy to share it with anybody, have received a marked up copy of our planning and zoning ordinance with some fairly general comments from the planners about what they think of our current ordinance. They've also received a document. We've also received a document that sort of compares our old ordinance to our new one and sees where some of the changes are. And what we're learning is that our zoning ordinance is probably a little more complicated than it needs to be in some areas, and may not be as explicit as it needs to be in others. So we're going to be working again over the next 30 to 60 days to get those recommendations formalized so that hopefully we can take action to make changes to our ordinance that make us a more attractive place to invest and can help us move the needle in ways that we haven't been in the past. So I'm excited about that. If you're interested in looking at that marked up copy, please shoot me an email and I'm happy to share it with you. The other thing that we're working on, that several of us are working on, or sort of comprehensively thinking about water and sewer and our water resources moving forward. We had a meeting with the Comptroller's office last week. They came down from Nashville and talked to us. Not just us, but also Tracy City and Big Creek and Swanee. We were all there to think about sort of how we as a region can better manage our water and how we can manage our growth. And so the result of that meeting is that we've reached out to the Association of Utility Districts and we're having a conversation about perhaps forming a regional water authority. And we don't know exactly what that means yet in detail, but as a broad brush, it's just thinking about working more together toward the needs of the plateau. So I'm really excited about that. And like I said, though that's less formal a committee, we've got some funding from the Appalachian Regional Commission to think about this and to think about water and sewer more generally. So we'll be working through that process. We probably won't get to the recommendation stages on that because we've got some outside funding to help us think about water and sewer, but we're looking at having some preliminary recommendations on that by November or December with some next steps to move forward on. So pretty excited about that.
Okay. Any questions on Imagine Monteagle from the Alderman? Then Alderman comments, Dean?
The Sparkle Week, was that a success?
We did it in a week and we went through each street once, so yes, I would call it a success this year.
Okay.
A lot of cooperation and understanding from the residents.
Okay. You talked about the pilot, and we talked about Wren's Nest at one time on striping and stuff, and I noticed it was in the Monteagle Tourism Committee priority thing about the street, not necessarily, they were saying
Yes.
Main and West Street.
I had an appointment with
West
the
Main.
contractor this morning. Unfortunately, he had to cancel it and we've rescheduled.
Okay.
And is that little piece of Wren's Nest, is that our responsibility or is that TDOT's?
It's ours.
It will be cheated. You mean at the end where?
No, I'm talking.
Where? On
Yeah,
Wren's Nest.
right in front of the MAPCO, or right next to the MAPCO, coming out of Wren's Nest
Right,
from the
as it comes
MAPCO.
out. TDOT has told me they will have their signages to guide you through what I'm calling peanut. But for now, based on comments from other meetings, we're going to stripe it for the next year or two.
So, and that's on us.
That's on us.
Or that's how they do it when they build those. The Department of Transportation builds it, but we have to maintain it.
Well, and their signage and painting will be completely different. So, anything else, Dean?
No, sir.
Brand?
Debbie, thanks for the overtime report. Just wanted to kind of potentially, well, one question first of all, but so why are there's two totals for Department of Water? There's one with 103 hours, 103.5 hours of overtime, the other one with 38. Just wondering why there's two. And it seems like, it seems like an excessive amount of overtime. I just wanted to make sure that we could kind of verify whenever that overtime is coming in, that those are actually some events that are happening.
One of them's the plant.
I'm sorry?
One of them's the water plant.
One's the water plant and then one's just the department. All right. Do we, I mean, if we're, I guess this is one of the reasons I was asking for it by department, is if we've got some departments that are consistently, running in a lot of overtime. This is 140 something hours of overtime in a month for water, whether it's the plant or the water thing. I just, we need to probably look at either our staffing or how many of these are actual like weekend calls and things like that. So I don't know if this is a workshop or something else, but I think it's something for us to at least take note of now and keep an eye on in the future. We shouldn't be running into that much overtime every month certainly with one department.
Would you say that's typical?
I mean, if we're doing 140 hours in overtime in a month, I think we probably need to look at some.
It's a workshop topic.
Yeah.
Okay, we should look at it.
Can we put together a workshop on that, please?
Yes.
That's all I've got.
Okay, Dan?
Yeah, in connection with the triangle that is beautifully being established there. Logo maybe, I don't know, I got maybe a hornet flying around, an eagle or something, I don't know. Anyway, also the school sign is beautiful. It's, appreciate everybody that was involved in that and getting that established, and Marion County got on the train and got that thing rolling. It looks beautiful, and it's an addition to our Main Street attractiveness. So, and yes, the directional arrows and street markings of 3 lanes there coming out of Wren's Nest has been brought to my attention, and I'd like to say that, I think we should own some stencils or something to revitalize those arrows periodically, and not so much for us. I mean, we know where we're going when we come out of McDonald's or MAPCO, but invariably you're going to get behind somebody that does not know where they're going, and there's nothing to tell them where they're going. So it's truly an important matter. I don't know, I guess I should have asked under the police report if any of these incidents in reference to accidents was involved in that intersection, but that's beside the point. The action is, the answer has come actually with the mayor telling us that he had a meeting and is looking into that, and I think that's probably the answer to my question to that. But there's just a lot of good things happening in Monteagle, and I see that, and I'm just really grateful, and I appreciate all the positiveness.
Thank you. Nate?
I share with y'all that we had a good workshop, what was it, last week, when we were talking about amendments to the food truck ordinance, and based on that, I have shared with y'all both digitally and in paper sort of a marked up version that I don't think is perfectly there, but tried to address some of the comments we talked about. The main difference, if those of y'all who haven't gotten a chance to look at it, is I made up a new term called portable kitchen for any food truck that is stationary for more than 14 days.
Okay.
Just so that we could try to differentiate. So take a look at that, and I guess we probably need another workshop on it.
There'll be several workshops.
And then hopefully we can get closer. But I'm happy to take feedback. People else just shoot me an email, and we can talk about what I was thinking about when I did it. But I don't. And I'd love to take everybody's comments on it.
That's it?
That's
Okay.
it.
TDOT is going to go ahead with their bridge work August of 2026 or October of 2026, depending on budget schedulings, engineering, and all of the components thereof. Part of it is what is called the famous Chapter 86, where if there is existing water or sewer services as part of the bridge work, the state will take that on. They'll do the boring, they'll do the pipes, they'll do whatever's necessary, and that's Chapter 86. This task order authorizes me to sign to proceed on that Chapter 86 with no money spent by the city. It's all going to be handled by TDOT. We just need an official piece of paper that lets the engineer do the engineering with TDOT. There are two dates, an A date and a B date, and those have to be met. If they are not met, the state says, sorry, goodbye, and the town is stuck with it. So I ask for authorization to sign the task order for Chapter 86 as outlined in your packet. Is there a motion?
Well, just one clarification first. There is an expense to the city of around $12,000 for the inspections, which is not covered.
Well, if it's that much, and there may be other funding to cover that.
There's not. I don't have a problem with it. I just want to clear it up that 100% of this is not being reimbursed by
Right,
TDOT.
100% of the construction part and the engineering is covered. There's an inspection component of the construction that TDOT does not cover. They say, here, see, and we're supposed to say, okay. So that's the inspection of the construction. But all of the major work, which is in excess of, I don't know.
It's about $12,000. I just
Yeah.
wanted to make that statement.
$25 million project.
No, I have no problem with it. I'm just making everybody know that there is a tiny little bit that we're responsible
Okay.
for. So
Is there a motion to
it's
accept
very
the
good,
task order?
Very good investment.
I'll make
Thank
the
you.
motion, yes.
Thank you.
I'll
Is there a
second the
second?
motion.
Is there a second?
Second the motion.
Thank you. Is there any further discussion?
Yes, sir.
What?
Well, I just want to add to what Grant said. There's also reimbursable and additional services in that contract, and it is minimal in what they described. The question I have is on this construction inspection. I had read part of that, and I think it said the engineers do that, and then we're responsible for some of that on-site inspection. I think I read somewhere. And I'm wondering if we're going to have some kind of report that we're going to get from LJA and from our people on this inspection.
Well, when the time comes, yes, I'll ask for.
Well, every time we've
the LJ
ever
report.
had a contract on construction, it seems like on utilities, the engineering inspection part has been and will be a great amount, not to the town of Monteagle necessarily. A lot of times the grant pays for it, but the failures of a lot of the things we're chasing today, trying to correct, was paid for in previous projects, and the inspections of the work they did during those time periods was not adequate and failed, and has continued to cost the town of Monteagle thousands of dollars a year because of poor inspections. And we have no authority over the bridge. TDOT will do that, but we do have say on the materials and the workmanship on the relocation of utilities. And then another problem that I have with this thing from LJA is dated May the 13th, and we've talked about, or I've talked about their fees and stuff and all the engineering fees that we're bombarded with on these grant things. And it seems like we get this request, any request, usually a week or 2 weeks before we have a city meeting. And they've been working on this TDOT project, TDOT has, for probably 2 years.
TDOT has, I understand your concerns, Dean. I don't think that'll happen with this project. TDOT has been working on it. We've been chasing the people to give us the A date and B date. They said when it comes out, that's when the clock starts. It came out. I forwarded it to you as quickly as I had it in your packets, and I think it needs immediate attention.
Oh, I agree with it.
Okay, so
It's
that's,
just,
because if we don't, we'll have a lot more than $12,000 inspection fees. Is there any further discussion on the motion?
Well, just to sort of follow up with with Dean's point, we tried this on some federal projects with the Mountain Goat Trail because we felt like it was sort of that if the construction inspection was done by the person who designed it, it was sort of the right hand looking at the left, and there wasn't a lot of oversight. And so we actually explored bidding out CE&I separately from construction and design, and you got to pay for it. So when we bid it out, it ended up being a multiple times the cost to get a separate engineering firm to come in and do CE&I, and that's why we didn't do it. I think it probably would have given us a somewhat better product. So I guess I'm saying I don't know the exact answer, but trying to bring in the CE&I is required for all federal projects. I had hoped that an outside CE&I firm would sort of keep the honest man honest. But it was hard to do, and I think that's why it's not split up very often.
Typically, these engineering firms design this that way. They don't want, the ones that did sewer plant number 2, we brought up about engineer inspections separately, and they said, we will resign as the engineer of record if you do that.
We can, and we have with multiple projects, both with the town of Monteagle and with the town of Tracy City. We have asked them to bid CE&I out separately, and it does sort of give the design firm the impetus to sort of perform better.
This is subject to the specs of TDOT, though. Their material and where they bore and what they bore and all that, that's all TDOT. So we're not...
Well, yeah, but somebody's got to look and make sure that the materials you're using are up to the specs that the installation is, and everybody can drive around these TDOT projects and see these road construction projects and see TDOT trucks sitting there with some dude sitting in the truck when you go by that morning, and every time you come by there, he ain't moved.
Well, I don't know, but I'm sure that won't be the case in this, under our watchful eye. Is there any other discussion? Roll call vote, please.
Dean?
Yes.
Brad?
Yes.
Dan?
Yes.
Dave?
Yes.
Larry?
Yes. Thank you. Very important. I will move forward to sign that, and we will meet the deadline of the first date. There's a second deadline for, I think, the B date or whatever it is, but there's an A date and a B date that we have to do. Okay, moving on to old business. I'll accept a motion to accept on the second reading ordinance 04-25, the small box discount store ordinance.
I'll make a motion to accept on the second reading ordinance 04-25.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. Is there discussion on the motion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? I'll accept a motion to accept the second reading of ordinance 05-25, changing the zoning from R3 to C2.
So moved.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Who was that?
Grant.
Who seconded the motion?
Grant.
Thank you. Any discussion on the motion?
Somebody had asked the question of where this was. This is the old Holy Comforter Church, and there's a medical facility that's looking to go into there.
Any further discussion on the motion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. I'll accept a motion to accept on second reading ordinance 07-25, the budget amendment is submitted.
I'll make a motion to pass 07-25.
Thank you. Thank you. Is there any discussion on the motion?
Didn't it change? Didn't it change from the first reading?
Yes.
Yeah, so this is first reading.
Yes, this technically would be first reading.
This is the first
sorry,
reading.
first reading of ordinance 07-25. So does the motion stand?
Yes, the motion stands
Does the
for the
second
first
stand?
reading.
Whoever made the second does.
Yes, I'm good with that.
Okay. Any discussion on the motion of the first reading of ordinance 07-25?
Thank you for
All
having the
those-
corrections changed.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. That concludes old business. Under new business, we have business permits. Is anyone here applying for a business permit? Sir?
I'm Ray Banks, and a lot of y'all heard on the street that we sold our building at 337 West Main. The Oaks and Oliver has leased part of the building for the last 18 months. We've been there since 2014, Monteagle Realtors. And what I requested was to operate a home office. We won't have any traffic, be very little. Basically, 90% of real estate is on the internet. I didn't bring my phone with me. That little aggravating phone is where all the business originates from. It's not as many walk-ins as when we opened up in 2014. People getting off the interstate and coming in. COVID taught us a lot that we can do with a lot less. Most of you noticed the last couple of years I hardly even go to the office. So there's only 3 employees, myself, Deb, and Tom Banks, and he lives in Pelham.
All right.
So
Is there any question or issue with the Real Estate Commission?
the Real Estate Commission requires me to have a letter from the city that allows, the zoning allows me to have a home office there
In the residential area?
in a residential area, and I have to have a sign,
All right,
small sign.
there's no parking or signage or traffic issues that you foresee?
No.
Alderman, any questions on this application?
Does the codes enforcement get involved in this?
I'm satisfied if the Real Estate Commission is satisfied unless
I
you
mean,
wanted
like
to.
our zoning for home occupation, not home occupation, well, there was a section in there about home businesses or something in there. I mean,
It's
I
allowable.
support it. I just don't want us to vote on it and then somebody say, in our zoning, it says, it's not approved for that. So assuming it's approved.
Yeah, I guess has the zoning ordinance been consulted by Travis or AJ?
I did not, no. Have you had any conversation with Travis?
I have not.
Well, do we need to look, did you look it up? I mean, I think it's, my memory of this, the last time we discussed it, it was about, what was that guy's name? The sawmill over near Tony, and we found out that was disturbing, and so that didn't count as a home office.
I think this complies. The only thing that may not would be, it depending on what he did with his signage.
Yeah.
I think in the.
Real discreet.
Yeah. And
Cedar with brown letters.
Yeah, I'm not thinking you would not. I'm just,
If it's not discreet, his neighbor is
I'm
going to
gonna
take
say,
it down.
you've got a neighbor over there that you really better watch.
2 of my other neighbors are okay with it. I hadn't asked Grant, he's been traveling too much.
I make a motion we approve that's really considered a home business license, is that the classification?
I'll still have to maintain the state license.
Second. Second, any further discussion on the motion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you.
Thank y'all.
Can I have that back, please?
Debbie, this might be worth passing along to the planning commission to make sure that they don't have any, or, Dan, you can probably look into this. Just make sure they're aware of it.
I will, and I'll
We're
check
not
with
jumping over
Travis.
them at all.
Yes. Another business permit?
Mhm.
Lumberland, Cumberland, excuse me. Cumberland Monument, Mr. Hill.
Yes, sir. I need a business permit I applied for. I've already got the county and everything else that I need. I bought the business, but I did not buy the property. Plan on proceeding selling monuments there. I have other locations.
Is there an issue with the landlord?
We'll talk about it in private.
All right.
I move to approve the business permit for Cumberland Monument.
Is there a second to the motion?
I'll second.
Thank you. Any discussion on the motion?
Yes, sir.
Yes, go ahead.
Is this a potential conflict of interest for me to vote on? Dave?
It probably is, because you're going to get money from the lease. I'm just
Well, I agree with
being
you.
clear,
Yeah, I just
I
wondered.
think probably.
Okay.
So you
But the
recuse-
law says I just have to acknowledge that it's a potential conflict and that I can still vote on it.
Well, your acknowledge is noted. Do you recuse yourself or no?
We're gonna have to wait and see on the vote.
Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Can I get that permit back?
Grant's got, hasn't he?
What else? Depot
I
Cafe,
printed this one out. Okay.
business, the applicant has bought Depot Cafe using the same name right now as
Do you
Depot
want to say
Cafe.
that?
Well, do the aldermen have any questions? It's an ongoing business, change of ownership.
Not I.
Is there a motion to accept the permit
I'll
application?
make that motion.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion on the motion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Congratulations. I need that back also. Is that into business minutes? Okay, first reading of the 2025-2026 budget. Is there a motion to accept on the first reading?
I will make a motion on the first reading to accept the 25-26 budget.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion on the motion?
Yes, sir. We will have second reading by June 30th to meet the compliance from the
Yes.
state comptroller's office.
Yes.
And then, in the past, we've got a new website now. I'm assuming do we need to, when we pass it, vote if we feel like it ought to be on the website for the citizens?
We can put it on the website. It's for-
Well, whatever.
The draft is already on.
Yeah.
Draft is on there.
But I'm talking about
Yeah.
whatever the
Yes.
final is passed.
Yeah.
I think it's very important for the public to be able to see what our revenues and expenses are.
All right. Any other discussion on the motion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. On the first reading. Motion to accept on first reading ordinance 08-25, the development review fees that we've worked on, that were edited and submitted. Is there a motion to accept?
So moved.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion on the motion?
Yes, sir.
Go ahead.
This is going to be fees that are going to what I call our utility engineer, correct?
Yes.
Yes.
Well, not directly. It'll come,
Well, it comes to the
town will
city,
pay
it's a
him.
pass-through based
Exactly.
on their billing.
yeah, the town will pay him.
Right. And
the town will
I'm
bill the
assuming this is
developer.
supposed to be revenue neutral. I mean, it's going to be reimbursed cost that the city incurs from the city engineer.
Yes,
Is that correct?
yes. The numbers that you see are the deposit. We do the work before the work is released.
Yeah.
Any additional expenditures will be reimbursed to the town to pay the engineer.
So this is not a tax increase on the city, and a lot of, so no, it's a fee, but it's still, it's zero neutral on revenue.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Any other discussion on the motion?
Yeah, do we have the language right here in terms of pre-submittal reviews, interim and final reviews? Doesn't the planning commission use don't they use,
Yeah,
they use different language? They do a preliminary,
Same, only different.
Well, this is to review before it ever gets to the planning commission, because
Yeah, this is-
there've been a lot of questions back and forth of the engineers, and I had instructed the planning commission planner or advisor not to approve anything until the engineer had looked at it. There've been several water sewer issues
Yes,
that
before it gets
might
to
have been
the
approved.
planning commission.
yeah, I mean, I just want to make sure.
Developer gets a hold of the engineer and wants to talk to him, and the engineer talks to him, and the engineer
Exactly.
charges for that fee. And then, we get reimbursed for it because we pay the engineer.
And that may never go to the planning commission.
No.
I mean,
No.
the project may be canceled
Sometimes, yeah.
several times.
Yeah, a lot of times.
Yeah.
It's the first box to check as far as I'm concerned.
Right, that's right.
Right, I understand that. It's the language that doesn't match up with the language that the planning commission uses. So if somebody could come in and say, when when is, this says pre-submittal review, and then this was interim and final review. I just think we ought to probably have some language in there that aligns it with, like, the pre-preliminary plat, or the language that's used by the planning commission. It's not a big deal, it's just.
Well, it would be, because it needs to, like, the final bill should be, like, site plan approval bill.
Exactly, we should use the same language in here.
I think it's there at the beginning of 14-202. Fees will be assessed and calculated for the review and submission of site plans, preliminary plats, and final plats.
But it also
then
should be conceptual. If I just, like you said, if I call up here and say, hey, I'm thinking about building, and I need to know about the water and sewer, and here's the projected usages, and then the city's gonna have to send that to the engineer, and he's gonna bill us for that, and then when I get, whatever answer I get, he may say, yeah, you're fine, and I say, well, I think I'll just go to Jasper and do it.
By the engineer.
So we're just recovering all costs incurred for anything to do with water and sewer potential customer.
And people do their due diligence, they'll ask those questions, and we get a bill, so this is.
I'm just asking for A and B to have the language that matches. It says site plan, it says preliminary plat, it says final plats, even if it's in parentheses for B and then parentheses for A. Just ask him to use the same language, because otherwise it could be confusing, because I'm going to look at this and go, okay, well, hang on a minute, when do I submit? What do you guys consider pre-submittal review?
Well,
it ought to be clear right here.
Yeah, you can just, the motion can be just to do that, can't
Would we have to do it again?
No, well, how about we just make sure that before this gets sent to the planning commission, to Jonathan for approval, let's just make sure the language matches up so that it's clearer for a developer.
Well,
Am I an idiot?
Not on this.
I do think that the pre-submittal review might not necessarily follow the planning and zoning timelines and so that.
Right.
That's it.
And I think that's why it's okay for the language to be different. So it's saying in the beginning of 14-202, we reference that process that you're talking about, but I think they're recognizing that may not exactly happen. This process may not happen according to the formal planning commission approval process.
If I'm a developer and I walk in, I'm going to pay you $150 for 1 acre of less.
It's before that.
Right. Well, I've got to pay you at some point. And what am I submitting for review? If it's a pre-submittal review and it's not like a pre-site plan, what am I submitting for you guys for $150 to look at?
The loads probably.
Yeah.
Just
Us contacting the engineer.
Yeah,
You want to know
six
the flows, you may want to
residences,
know certain engineering.
6 3-bedroom, 2-bath residences. and-
Never mind. I withdraw my comments, and I'll let the next developer come in and go, man, this is stupid.
And then we'll explain it to him. Any further discussion on the motion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Opposed?
Thank you. Motion carries. Okay. I'll be contacting you, Brad. Okay, let's,
Got another budget amendment.
yes, the what? First reading, I'll accept a motion to accept on first reading ordinance 09-25, the budget ordinance amendment that you have.
So moved.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Thank you. Any discussion on the motion?
Yes, sir.
What?
This is for the 24-25. Correct. We're going back and so it's basically the accounts that we have overspent in. We are funding that overspent amount or projected that will get us through June 30.
Yes.
Okay. And so like state and federal grant is $50,000. It says what is that? Okay. Well,
That's I think the spending on the engineering and design for the multimodal grant. So
Okay.
that's coming in and going out.
Yeah, okay. And then the city recorder says professional services, $13,500. I'm assuming that's on an audit or something that's contractual.
Yes.
And is that with our Stephanie Buss? or-
Yes.
And how did we miss that so bad?
There's nothing there.
Okay, then contractual services, or services, it says, $10,600. Is that like janitorial and other?
Yes, yes.
Okay. Board of Mayor and Alderman attorney fees, $6,000. We had, I believe we had budgeted, was it $73,000 for that? So we're gonna be close to $80,000 for attorney fees for this operating year.
I thought it was 40, but I could be wrong.
I hope it's 40, you know. Look it up there, please.
Let's pull it up here. Let's see.
Is any of that 80 reimbursable through our insurance?
Well, we actually paid more than that. We've actually paid, we had to pay deductibles, didn't we, Mayor? On
The deductibles for legal, for the insurance, that the insurance company represented us for those issues, is in the legal fee. That came out of pocket from the town funds.
Well, whatever the amount was, I noticed back in March, I believe it was, we were almost to the limit of what we had budgeted for legal fees. And it may have been in February even, and knowing that we were not going to make it to June 30th. And at that time, I don't think those insurance deductibles had been talked about.
Well,
But you're saying the deductibles, that there was two $5,000, and that will be debited out of the attorney fees account.
my recollection too.
I mean, from an accounting standpoint.
Yeah, there may be more, but two at least.
Okay.
Hang on, I'm working through it here. I'm at the city recorder.
The attorney fees is on the mayor.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I think it's under
It's
mayor.
on the mayor.
Office of the Mayor. No, it's under Board of Aldermen, which is different. I just gotta find it. Police Department, I thought it was above Fire, Public Works,
Towards the top.
City Recorder, Office of the Mayor. Board of Mayor and Aldermen, right there it is. Attorney's fees, it was 37,000.
Yeah, 37,002, well, 39,000.
Audited balance for 23-24 was 34,000.
Yeah.
Our current balance to the year is 23.
Okay.
They're
So
estimating.
we're gonna make it, we're gonna be at over 40 then.
I have been, well, I don't know. Depends what comes up.
Well, if you don't, you have to come back. My point is that if these numbers don't adequately fund through June 30th, we've got to come back again and reallocate funding to balance them out, correct?
Yes.
Yeah, but I think that's what this estimated balance of 39,673 would be the total estimated for the end of
And
the
then
budget
if
year.
there was any left over in those, then they would come back into the general fund to be reallocated.
Correct.
Okay. That's all I have.
Any other discussion on the motion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. That concludes new business. I'll accept a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
All right.